So we're down here. We'll give it a couple minutes to gather myself and let the Facebook world gather themselves. But beautiful day outside. Beautiful day to explore a brewery, which is exactly what we're going to do today. Down here at Lock 15, Part 2. Going to just kind of do a general tour of the facilities and the brew house, the tap room, the everything that's going on. The construction is pretty minimal at this point, but there still is construction, so it's not open to the public at this point. But yeah, we're gonna take a sneak inside and take a peek and see what's going on. But how you been doing today, Nikki? Having a good day?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Great day. All right. So let's go. Let's do a show. So we are live down here for part 2 of a 3-part series covering Lock 15 all the way up until our soft opening launch next week. And then the grand opening, which will be August 21st, and a little less than 2 weeks, I believe. And so we're down here today at the brewery getting a sneak peek, exclusive tour inside. We're going to look at all the construction from the tables and the flights that are amazing. The flight, I don't know what you call those. I'll figure out what they call those in a minute. But yeah, we're just going to take a tour of everything, and then we're going to catch up with Joe, the brewer, and kind of see what's been brewing. We're going to taste some of the beers. I have one right here. It's called the Instigator IPA, and very quickly it's becoming one of my favorite IPAs. It's actually, and I'm not just saying that, it's actually really good. I'm pretty impressed immediately. So let's get it started. Let's go in. Let's see who we run into. And what do you know? Oh hey!
Good Lord.
Look at you. What are you doing here?
Good to see you.
Yeah. So
How's it going?
Doing good. So Cullen here, back with us. If you missed last week. What do you call yourself? Operating owner?
Owner-operator, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Well, he's going to give us a little bit of a tour and just a little bit of a peek around and see what's going on for Lock 15. How's progress been going?
It's been going great. I really appreciate the conversation and the show last week. I think we got a chance to really dive into a lot of why we're here. But we didn't really get a chance to talk about or see the space and see where we are. So
exactly.
I think this is a good opportunity to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So we are working through our final inspections right now.
Okay.
So we should be, I think we're going to be pretty good on time-wise to get to make sure we get open for this soft opening. We're going to do a couple of events through the course of the week, next week, and then August 21st as the grand opening.
Right.
I think we're going to be hitting on all cylinders. So
nice.
I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I'm super excited.
Yeah. So we have a bit of a mess in here still, but remarkably, pretty much all of the contractors are sort of working themselves out of here.
Okay.
So over the next probably 24 hours, we're going to be able to get almost everything out here cleaned up and ready to roll. We got the kitchen coming in on Sunday. We're finishing up sort of a section of the staff training that's revolving around the food. Over Sunday and Monday, we're going to be cooking through the menu and making some things happen.
Nice.
Joe's on a trajectory right now where we're tapping beers almost every day, and
awesome.
We're getting the beer in the kegs and starting to get going. I think we're going to be able to open with 5 of our own, and then over the course of the first couple weeks, we'll do a little tap release whenever we release something new.
You'll have like guest beers on tap or on draft as well.
Oh yeah. So we have 16 handles.
Yeah.
We only ever expected to really brew 10 beers, maybe 11, maybe 12 as we grow.
Sure.
But we want to dedicate a couple handles to local Akron breweries or surrounding area breweries. I think it's important to support the other guys that are trying to do what we're trying to do, and that camaraderie within this brewing community is palpable. It's really a great.
I see it everywhere we go.
Yeah, it's a great feeling. So we want to nurture that and show love to the other guys that are putting the work in there and doing a great job.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, absolutely. So like, as we walk in, kind of like I picture like as from a customer standpoint, you get plenty of room. Do you see yourself having like a hostess right here, or like?
Yeah. So the host stand is right in front of us here.
Okay.
So that will be where you will check in, and you will either be entering through this main entrance or through this door here, depending on traffic. So we have the event space next door where we did our interview last week.
Right. Trailhead.
The Trailhead event space, yeah.
Trailhead event space.
So if they're rocking and rolling and they have a wedding reception going on, I can imagine that it could get quite congested in this area.
Sure.
So we wanted to have another dedicated avenue that you could get in. So we have this secondary entrance that's right here that obviously gets you right into the front area here.
And that's a beautiful area. So for like a hostess stand, that's beautiful. I mean, a lot of places, like even like I don't know, like restaurants, it's just like a stand, your typical stand. But that's legit. Like you walk in and you can basically see everything right off the bat, and this is beautiful right there.
And this isn't finished yet. There's another. When we get around the corner here and take a look at this mural that Mike Ayers, local artist Mike Ayers, has put up for us here. Oh, she's doing it right now.
Yeah, let's look at it.
He's doing another whole piece on the front of the host stand here, so this will be
awesome.
even more complete. But
Nice.
It's almost like a then and now sort of thing. So on the front of the host stand is going to be kind of the then. It's going to have some more historical. There's a photograph of Swinehart back in 1918, I think, right after the flood, maybe 1915, right after the flood, and he's kind of surveying his area over here. And so we're going to have a piece that's kind of dedicated to him. We have some other little decals here. And then this is the now. This is actually a painting of a still photograph that we took at Lock 15, looking up the lock.
Super cool.
And then he just put up the bottle caps that have the logos of our year-round beers. So
those are all your beers?
Correct, yeah, and that represents our year-round selection. So this is our kind of our
nice.
staple beers.
Yeah.
That'll be our regular lineup. And just to reiterate, the labels were done by Chuck Ayers. So Chuck and Mike are brothers.
Oh, nice.
And Chuck was the former, I guess he's still doing some cartooning, but did all the artwork for Funky Winkerbean and Crankshaft.
Oh, okay.
In the Akron Beacon Journal back then.
Many Sunday mornings at Mom and Dad's reading those.
Exactly.
I love it, though. I love the artwork. It's like it's got that kind of fun feel to it, but almost gives you like an old-time feel, but also like obviously it's modern too. So
yeah, I've always thought, the art is just so welcoming. It just,
yep.
If there's ever an effective way to kind of set the tone for a space,
sure,
it's artwork. And when you have the resources and you have the family and friends that can put together stuff of this quality, it's just amazing. It's an amazing asset.
I love it. I do. I really like it. So you walk in, and that's one thing I like. I love. It's super cool. You walk in, and it's just like I was saying, as a customer, I mean, you have people that'll be probably waiting, lining up through the door, out the door. Even hopefully when it's not too cold out, they can wait outside probably. But you can you walk in, you're trying to meet somebody, you can see the whole space, which is super cool.
Yeah, that was part of it. What I really wanted to create was an open space because when you think of community, when you think of sort of this communal dining experience, when you think of kind of big city living, almost, you think of these open dining spaces. I really like the idea of transparency in the space as well. Sure. So that was one reason why I really wanted to do the show kitchen and the brewery kind of side by side, so you can see the elements that are really almost the factory, the drivers of the place are sort of in their own little units, but you can see it. You can talk to the guys, you can see them, you can get a little bit of a better experience of what's actually happening here.
Right, you don't have to worry about what's going on back there in the kitchen.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's right there in front of you.
Sure. Yeah.
And then, to have kind of the big open area for dining, it just, I love these spaces. I think it opens it up to meeting people, to seeing people that you know. I envision this place having a pretty bustling atmosphere. Mm-hmm. So, I think it's going to work out really, really nicely.
And it's open without being just like one flat little area. I mean, I've seen places that have, it's like probably that vision of having an open floor, but it's just like an open warehouse and there's just tables and you're just like, okay, that's fine. But this kind of, I feel like it has layers and levels, and even with the beams and you have the high tops over here and kind of the separations in there, it makes it breaks it up, but it's still open, right?
Yeah. It tries. We want to create spaces. That's what it's all about. It's about creating individual spaces. So and you'll see there's a couple of little partitions we have in here just to sort of define space. And then as we finish the furniture and some of the other detail work in here, I think you'll even get a better sense of sort of the definition of sort of kind of 3 to 4 different spaces within the dining room. Even though it's an open area, you'll kind of gravitate towards one of these specific places that are kind of set up. So
sure.
I think it still offers you the opportunity for a nice date night.
Right.
I think it still offers you the opportunity for a large party. I think it still offers you the opportunity for a family, coming in. And that's, it's important to us that we kind of hit, all those little details and make sure that there is a space that's comfortable for each of those purposes.
The windows are beautiful as well. I mean, pretty open. I mean, this whole, besides this wall, and there's, is that a bay door, right? Garage bay door?
Yeah, the garage door. Yeah, the garage door, and we'll kick that sucker open when the weather permits.
Yeah.
It's.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
And so is this all yours too, right here with this?
So this is kind of a community area. This is sort of shared area here.
Okay.
Our patio, which is still kind of under construction.
Let's take a peek out there. Can we open this door? Can we open? Yeah.
Let's go.
Tell us about this. I'm excited about this.
Yeah. So this is really cool.
I love this.
I have always been a big fan of kind of that German style beer garden, dining. Yep. And although with a lot of things here, you probably can't. If it's not in front of you, you don't see it. But if you can visualize it, this pad right here, we're going to do a big pergola, much like that one that's over there.
Just a bigger one.
Just a bigger one that
awesome.
Kind of covers this whole area, so you have almost a layer of shelter there. You feel a little bit more enclosed.
Right.
And then there's going to be a shrub row that comes up here.
Shrubs coming up here. Okay.
And then beyond this space, we're going to go beyond the pad here.
So down here.
10 or 12, maybe 15 feet, and then cut over, and then there'll be another shrub row. So the whole space will be defined by the combination of some fencing and these, probably these chest-high shrubs. Right over there, we actually have stones that were taken from Lock 3.
Oh, wow.
During the renovation of Lock 3. So these are actual canal stones.
Awesome.
That we are creating a fireplace out here, and the hope is we still have to think through some logistics here. We kind of, you can plan for everything, but some of the best stuff comes off the seat of your pants sometimes, But we're hoping to actually be able to cook in there as well. So we are
some, like wood fire pizza or something maybe.
Yeah, or a spit.
S'mores.
A spit. Put a little, put some meat on there.
Yeah.
Hang some sausages. That kind of thing.
Okay.
So,
all right.
But we actually want that to be a functional.
Yeah.
Almost a functional oven, an outdoor oven,
rather
than just just a fireplace. But so this is still, obviously under development.
Yeah, that's exciting. I
love
it.
We have kind of 2 phases of this opening. Obviously, we are in August now. We have, I would suspect we probably have 2 or 3 more months of patio weather.
Mm-hmm. Come fall, it's going to be beautiful.
Man,
we locked out. We are locked out, folks.
We just got locked out. Dang it, anyway.
We're doing it live. We're going to go cutting through the beautiful shrubbery here now, and off-road. I think that's the word I was looking for. I don't know. But, yeah, I love just when you walk in here, it's just like just a cool setting, and it's opening and inviting. So walk us through maybe, yeah. It's warm, but it's also like that industrial feel with the brick and the wood. So walk us through the pretty large bar area, right?
Yeah. We have 17 seats along the bar, which I think is pretty nice size. A couple of 65-inch tellies and some nice features to look at. We'll have the blackboard there, which will feature our beer list and our monthly specials. Okay. Any features that we're doing at the time, we'll have those. We have a second chalkboard over there.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it kind of ties it in.
Yeah, that will kind of replicate the whole thing. And then
perfect.
The bar itself is done in a rich mahogany finish.
Rich mahogany finish.
And Mike Ayers, who we were talking about before, put together this really beautiful silhouette. And to see it on paper, it just looks like, like black ink. It's just a pretty simple art piece. Mm-hmm. But we had this vision of kind of putting something on the bar, and then pouring this resin over the top of it to kind of seal it in, and it really came out beautifully. So it's almost a timeline of Akron.
Right.
Starts with Perkins Mansion and Mutton Hill. Our Hefeweizen named after Mutton Hill.
Okay.
We have the signal tree.
Gotcha.
We have the canal. We have some people playing. We have the mules that were known to pull the canal boats. We have the Mustill store. We have the Schumacher Mill, and this was a tribute really more than anything to Chuck Ayers, Mike's brother, who actually designed this art piece that is across the street from us at the Cascade Locks Park.
It's awesome.
So we wanted to represent Schumacher Mill, and we thought what better way than to do kind of a little replica of Chuck's art piece there.
Wow. Yeah.
And then we have, kind of moving into the industrial side and the canal. We start getting a little bit more modern with the air dock, and then we get into the modern cityscape of downtown Akron, which gets us to where we are today. So
little blimp line. That's beautiful.
Yeah, it spans about 17 feet on the bar, and what I love about it is that the finish of the metal kind of matches the tanks, and it sort of just kind of brings into the whole sort of artistic vision of the place. It sort of ties in with the same materials that we're using for a lot of the operations here. So
super unique, and it's very people take pride in the city, right? People take pride in Akron, and they're always you got like Rubber City Clothing, and you got Akron Coffee Roasters, you got all this stuff going on downtown, and people very much try to embody Akron. I feel like this is the type of thing that people are going to love, and they're going to be like, it's one of a kind, it's unique, it embodies Akron, and people are going to be like take when they have family coming in. We have friends coming in from Chicago next week. I don't know if I'll be able to. They won't be here for the grand opening. But now this is the type of stuff that I would love. You need to check this out. It's just it's a cool embodiment of Akron, I think. And
there's small details. There are little details. We sit. You could sit at 100 different bars,
right,
and be perfectly comfortable and not think anything of it.
Yeah.
And
that's fine.
And it's totally fine. But when you have the opportunity to sort of, number one, showcase the talent of a local artist,
right?
But two, to really add some character to the place. Anytime you have new construction, it's kind of hard to create that comfort that you get from walking into a place that you've been around for a long time. So I think one of the things that you can do to kind of combat that, or at least to make people feel more comfortable, is to create elements in the place that sort of inspire that comfort.
Sure, yeah, it draws interest, and
and this is definitely one of those little small details that I think does that.
Yeah, just sitting here, is that the air dock?
Yeah.
What, It's like another one of those things that we were talking about earlier, is the flight paddle, paddle, right?
Yeah.
That's the word I was looking for, flight paddle. But it's actually a. Go ahead, tell us about it.
Well, my partner, Joe Karpinski, who we're going to be meeting here in a minute, His father is my uncle, is also Joe Karpinski, and he is just a craftsman through and through.
Yeah.
He's done some amazing work, and he's worked with the Akron Public Schools, and
Nice.
has done just a number of really great projects. So I would like to think that he got 50 students to make these, but he actually did them all himself.
Wow.
So he made our flight holders,
So cool.
which are obviously a replica of the boat that we use as our logo.
Yeah.
We have the Lock 15 Brewing Company, and then he threw the chalkboard paint on the other side. so
Right,
we can
just for the
identify.
added touch. Yeah, instead of, I love it. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah. But no, these are fun. These are really great. And the nice part is too is that we are going to be doing. Obviously, we'll be doing the beer flights for the for the opening. But we're also doing snack flights along with them. So we have beer snacks, we call them.
Yeah.
That we're going to pair with each of the beers.
I like that.
And
'Cause I like to snack.
yeah.
I'm a snacker.
Yeah. So even if you're not looking for a full meal or anything like that, you can grab we'll have 10 different beer snacks, and you can
I love
pair
that.
the beer snacks with the beers.
Nice.
So
what kind of stuff are we talking about? Like, can we reveal any of that?
yeah, we can. So one of my favorites,
Just give us a couple.
I mean one of the favorites that came out was we're doing the Swinehart Stout, which is an imperial coffee stout, and the coffee really hits you.
Yeah.
And it's got that beautiful
Scribbles
bitterness.
Scribbles
Scribbles coffee.
Joining us next week.
You heard of Scribbles.
We'll see you there, Scribbles.
Yeah. So we're doing the imperial coffee stout, and we are pairing that with a dark chocolate toffee pretzel bark.
Oh.
So that'll be one of the beer snacks. So, and that's on the sweet side.
I'm in.
Yeah.
I love a good coffee stout, but then I also love dark chocolate. Like that is okay. Tell me more.
So we'll be doing a number of different flavored popcorns and spiced nuts and kind of stuff along those lines. We are actually another one that I'm excited about, and so this is an old family thing. This is like going back to Thanksgiving.
Okay.
When I was a young child, my
wee
grandmother did beet pickled eggs, which is a very English thing.
Yeah, my grandma did them too.
And it was love it or hate it. Like it was kind of 50-50.
Yeah.
But it's a traditional English bar snack.
Yeah.
They used to have jars of these beet pickled eggs that were on the bar.
I called them purple eggs.
Yeah, purple eggs.
Yeah.
So we're doing the Mustill Mild, which is a traditional English mild.
Okay.
The Mustill Mild is named after, of course, Joe and Sarah Mustill of the Mustill store, part of the Cascade Locks Park here.
Okay.
So we're paying homage to them, and I thought, what better snack for an English mild than an English beet pickled egg?
Okay.
So we're going to be doing
Yes.
pickled eggs there as well.
Wow, that sounds really good.
Yeah. So I think that'll be a fun little throwback, and another one that we'll have some fun with.
I'm excited about that. Okay, what about do you know it yet? What you're gonna put in the shelves? Like just total curiosity.
Yeah, I mean, obviously a lot of glassware storage. We have some liquor shelves coming in.
Okay.
One of the nice parts about, one of the things that we wanted to do with our program here is, although, we are dedicated and focus a great deal on the beer. I have the luxury of having Joe, who's an expert on the beer.
Sure.
My background is more in restaurant hospitality. So, I've built a number of wine lists. I've built a number of bar programs. And, one of the things that we wanted to do was have a nicely well-rounded program so that, even if you are not necessarily a beer drinker, but you're coming with a beer drinker.
Yep.
We have the same thought process that goes behind the beer goes into the wine list and goes into the cocktail list. Just a little attention to detail there.
Yeah.
We want to have some nice, some nice options. So, we're going to have a nice, well-rounded list between the wine, the beer, the spirits. We're going to have the total package here, which I think is great.
Phenomenal, absolutely. And one little detail I noticed my wife will like. We have the purse hooks, right?
Purse hooks, yeah.
Purse hooks.
Yes.
Details.
Yeah, please
Details, ladies.
get it close.
They're here. Yeah, we go. I can't tell you how many places we go, and she's like, why don't they have them?
I have been told that. I only had to be told that once, and that was the last time. So
well done.
Where there is an establishment that I am involved with, there will be coconuts.
Nice. Okay, let's. I mean, and over here we have the high tables. They're not just your average normal kind of high tops.
No, yeah, and I mean, unfortunately, everything's kind of pushed together right now as we're kind of clean, getting stuff set up. But this is a whitewashed barnwood tabletop.
Beautiful.
We were really excited about these. We thought that if we did a little bit of a darker finish on some of the things with the seats and the floor,
right.
And some of the things, we wanted to add a little bit of brightness and just kind of lighten up the space a little bit. And when I saw these, I just really fell in love with them.
Yeah.
So
it's a good compliment to, like you're saying, the dark floor and the dark wood. Yeah.
And they're all different. They all have a little variation to them. They're all, a repurposed wood as the base. But we had a company that put these together for us that we really like them. So
nice.
We're happy with these.
All right. Take us further on.
So let's explore the kitchen a little bit.
Okay.
I feel like that's one of the things that for us we take a really great deal of pride in, and one of the things that I think sets us apart from a lot of the other breweries that are opening up is the attention to food and the attention to creating the whole experience with the beer and the dining. We want to create a hospitality experience that is very unique, given sort of the expectations of what you think of when you walk into a brewery.
I could already tell that just from our last conversation and just from being in here and talking with John, Chef John, that he's passionate. His passion comes through, and that's going to come through mixed with your vision and the beer. And that's what I've been telling everybody. It's got that unique that attention to the dining experience, not just you're like going in to have a beer, which is fine, and if that's what you're looking for, but it's going to be more than that.
Right.
Is the way I've been trying to explain it.
Yeah. No. I mean, I mean that's exactly right. I mean, I often find myself out at places that I love to drink beer, wishing I could have good food.
There's just a little bit more. Yeah. Yep.
And it seems like, too often, in my opinion, I can't have those things. So,
right. Yeah.
So that's part of the reason that we're doing what we're doing.
And you're just like, why not?
But it's a show kitchen. So these guys are cooking right on the line.
Let's walk down here.
As you are sitting out in the dining room here, you can watch these guys. You can come up and talk to them.
Come up and heckle them.
Oh, yeah, so absolutely. I encourage that at every moment. But you can
taught you how to fry an egg.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to do that.
I hope you do. But you can see the guys cooking. You can come up. You can experience it. You can talk to them. It's just part of, again, sort of this transparency of knowing where your food's coming from, knowing who's cooking it, knowing that it's coming out responsibly, and being able to kind of have levels of sort of, accountability through the whole process. Yeah. I just think it's, it helps create the relationship with the guests. It helps sort of solidify, a family coming off the trail, or someone coming from Pittsburgh or Cleveland or Cincinnati or Columbus that's coming out here to check us out, or our neighbors up the street. They know what they're going to get when they come in here, and they know that they're going to get an experience that they can nurture a relationship and talk to the chef and talk to the sous chef and talk to the fry cook and talk to me and talk to Alex and talk to the bartenders and
experience.
Just have
a full experience.
Just have top to bottom, really a full experience.
Yeah. So you have we were talking earlier, I heard some gentlemen speaking about the church pews down here on the far wall, which is pretty awesome. I love that.
Yeah. So these are from the former First Presbyterian Church which happened to be the church I was married in.
Oh.
So these may have very well been the church pews that I sat on when I was sweating my butt off waiting to get married. These are so these are from First Presbyterian Church down in East Akron. It is now the home of the Well CDC, of which Zach Cole is leading that charge and doing some amazing things for his community in Middlebury over there.
Yep.
I know you've had, I think, your first show.
Our first show, kind of breaking us in. But I've been going over there, and I've gotten to know those guys over there pretty
Compass
well.
Coffee, just a great spot.
Absolutely.
He's an inspiration to me to just try and reinvent myself and be a better version of myself a lot. Simply based on the great stuff that he's doing for the community, and his energy. His passion is, it's you don't see it every day.
Sure.
So,
right. Yeah.
He's definitely a steward of the people,
and you get that when you go there. I mean, that's why I'm there.
Yeah.
So we have tables.
Yeah,
do we have
the tables there, we have a whole row of tables that are coming up here. So, and this is our main dining room. Okay. You can kind of see we have them set up. Again, everything's a little bit kind of askew right now. But we have these tables in here in the middle are intended to be communal tables. Yeah. So we're not going to take reservations for these tables. These will be walk-in space only, and we'll just kind of fill them in as people are coming in. Alternatively, if we do get some large groups, if we have a group of 12 or 24, we could definitely reserve a couple of them, and keep people engaged in that way.
Okay.
And then the front area as well, a bunch of tables. Again, the garage door, which we'll be able to kick open. Yeah. We have a couple spots. We're playing around right now. We want to, definitely want to continue. Sort of the live music and entertainment movement that's kind of happening in this area of town. So we're going to have either out on the patio or inside.
Okay.
We'll have some live musicians, set up from time to time.
Perfect.
We'll kind of go from there.
Okay. All right. Let's
follow me. I'll show you.
Keep moving on.
Kind of look through the front part of the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
This would be
the front part. I think we're going to get a little sneak into the back part of the kitchen.
Yeah. So whenever you have a show kitchen like that, you still have to have places to prep and places to make sure that you're getting everything cleaned up and put together. So this is obviously the dish area here. Yeah. So whenever anybody's coming in with plates from the tables, it's nice because you can come right in here. You can set them down.
What is this?
Very accessible.
Smells good.
Yeah, that's some little pickled onions and cucumbers.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We're working on. They already used what they needed to, so don't worry. Nobody's going to be eating that. It's sitting there for a while.
Well, I don't think. Yeah, it's like I don't think I want to see the dishes being done in the dining area.
Oh, of course.
Right?
Yeah, I mean that's going to be a behind-the-scenes thing.
Yeah.
But the other nice part about this space is it gives us the opportunity to set up more of a traditional style kitchen space, so these guys can actually, if we're rocking and rolling out there, and they need to prep some more stuff, we need to get some more stuff out.
Yeah.
We have an extra 6-burner stove back here to do it.
Okay.
We have a couple of convection ovens that we can use for prep.
All right.
We got our slicer for all of our charcuterie boards and cheeses.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little vacuum seal machine.
Oh, hello.
We're going to be having some fun with doing some sous vide cooking and experimenting with some fun stuff. But alternatively, just having the vacuum seal machine too. As far as storing food and keeping things fresh and getting the most out of your products, we're spending some time sourcing really great products, a lot of local products.
Right.
We want to make sure we're taking care of them. And a step like that to be able to vacuum seal really makes a big difference.
Sure.
Just all, kind of prep area here. We got I can't wait to kick that sucker on. I'm just going to mix some batter. I don't even know what I'm going to make.
Just to make some waffles.
I'm going to make a lot of waffles. We got that. And then the walk-in cooler is here. We have a few walk-in coolers, but this is one of our, this is the biggest one. This is for the food
Okay.
here. John, our chef, who we met last week, is
Yeah.
always great about, making sure that everybody is fully trained on how to store food properly, sort of the
Have to be.
hierarchy
Yeah,
of food,
have to be. Yeah.
and how we use our equipment, labels, making sure that everything is dated properly.
Labels.
And then this kind of just goes back into, we have a dry storage area and some freezer stuff here.
Okay. All right.
So this is the kitchen.
All right.
It's going to be a beautiful space to work.
Yeah.
I think we were talking about it a little bit last week, but we were in New York at the James Beard house.
Right.
And James Beard would be jealous of this kitchen, let me tell you that. So this is set up. So no excuses, John.
Come on, John.
So obviously the wall back in the bathrooms.
I don't know whose beer that is, but I just need a little something to wet my whistle. That's the beauty of being at a brewery.
That's it. We have beer flowing. This is sort of the back bar area. So the nice part is you saw the bar.
Yep.
And you saw where the taps are on the bar.
Yep.
The cooler is right there.
Ah.
So there is no run.
Yeah.
So to get the beer from the kegs to the glass,
right
you're
there.
talking about 6 feet,
Yeah.
which is beautiful. Yeah. So this
Nice.
is just kind of a little production area here.
Cool.
This is cool. I really love this piece, and this is Don Gordon from the Cascade Locks Park Association. He is at the Mustill store quite a bit, and he's been a very big ally of ours and has been very helpful along the way. Thank you, Don.
Don.
But this was on display at the Mustill store for the first several years that they were open, and they gave it to us to put up here because they took it down to change their whole look, and it was just sort of sitting in storage. And I saw it and I loved it. And
Yeah,
it's,
yeah.
This is actually, if memory serves, it's a bar in the Portage Lakes in like the 1830s.
Sure.
And an actual photograph. So this is canal days. This is, guys that were hustling and working and spending all their money.
Like the bartender's handlebar mustache.
Exactly.
Somewhat coming back now.
Exactly.
You know what you need to do? Recreate this picture.
Amen. Yeah.
You and your team of guys, and
I know. I just
Yeah,
got to
yeah.
figure out who's going to be that guy.
Moving on.
This is the funnest part for me because this is the part where, certainly I had the least experience with this whole apparatus,
Sure.
coming into this project. But this
Yeah.
is our brewery, so we have. I'm going to turn you over to Joe
Okay.
here,
Yeah.
and Joe's going to take you through the whole process and answer any questions that you have about it. But it's a beautiful space. It's just finally coming together, and we're pumping out some great brews now. So I'm very, very pleased with the progress we've made, and this is the adventure is just beginning. So
Absolutely.
one adventure ends and another begins, and
Well, I'll tell you what. Immediately walking in here, it's amazing how well the smell is containing here. I think it smells good, but I don't know if people want that in with the food and everything. But it's like immediately I walk in, I feel like I'm in the brewery.
it smells like beer. I mean, come on.
exactly right. Yeah.
So what
But
could be bad?
exactly.
But
yeah.
you're right. It is. It's self-contained, and that was, we wanted that for not only sanitary purposes, but just to kind of again, we were talking sort of about the transparency, but also having that that little element of separation of space, knowing that one area is, this is. Starting up a business like this, starting up a process like this is like opening a factory.
Right.
There is a whole other set of equipment and checklists and
Yep.
requirements that you have to meet to be able to do this.
Right.
And that is that was all a big learning experience. But to have that sort of in a self-contained area, I think does nothing but help us maintain the integrity of each
Yep.
of the individual spaces.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
That's why I brought it up. I was like, you just enter into a whole new world, and so that world being, what do you call this, the brew house?
Oh, yeah.
The brew
Yeah.
house.
So we are coming into the brew house with head brewer, brewmaster, the brewist of the brewiest, Joe, right?
Yep.
I don't know if you want to reveal your last name or not.
Joe Karpinski.
Joe Karpinski, you said that earlier, yeah. So
I blew the whistle a long time ago.
well, thank you so much for joining us on the Hop and the Bean. We've been going around, seen a lot of different beers, a lot of different brewers, a lot of different coffee roasters. So it's great to kind of see this vision. I was telling Colin, I think you guys have a unique, total different vision in the best way than a lot. And you have to be, right? You have to be unique. Do you see that translating into your philosophy or if there is one, like overarching thought process of how you want to brew your beers for Lock 15?
I mean, how I want to brew my beers is just the standard way of brewing it. I'm not really sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I brew my beers. I have a 3-tier brew house:
Okay.
mash tun, lauter tun, boil kettle. So we just go through the process. I know when we were looking at the system, we had to make the decision between a 2-tier system, which had one tank that kind of did like several different purposes, and the other tank had several different purposes.
Yeah.
Spreading it out the way we did it, it's a 7-barrel system. It allows us to do 2 batches on the same day subsequent, so we can have fill a 15-barrel fermenter with 2 7-barrel batches back to back.
Okay.
So I could start showing you guys.
Show us a little bit around before I jump into any more crazy in-depth questions. Just show us around.
The first part, the first step here is the grains, and then to start
Grains.
the process, we have our milling room.
The milling room.
Back here.
So tell us what happens in here.
So we just take the grains, we measure them out, we mill them, and it sends it up through the auger system into our grist hopper in the next room, so that an entire batch of beer is milled and ready to go. And we usually do this the night before, just so once we come in on brew day, the process of starting up the batch is very simple. The grains are milled.
It's milled.
We measure out our minerals that we're going to add to the water, because we use reverse osmosis water,
Nice.
so that we can match the water profile to whatever beer style.
Add back in elements.
Yeah,
or
so
the
like for
minerals.
example, like Pilsen or Pilsners from Pilsen Czech Republic, their water is so clean it has virtually no dissolved minerals in it. So that's how we make our water there. Now, on the other hand, like if we make a London, any ales that came from London historically, porters,
Sure.
Stuff like that. Those ones have a very high mineral content, so we kind of match those.
Okay.
So that's, as you can see, lots of different minerals here that all kind of, a certain ratio of that
Gotcha.
gives us what we need there.
Okay.
So yeah, and then we can step on back over here to the brew house.
Coming up here, and then gets a little bit more shiny in here, and
Yeah, right now we're in the process of transferring our Pilsner from our fermenter over to the bright tank,
okay.
at which point we're going to carbonate it, and then in a couple days we'll keg it.
Okay.
So that takes some process, just preparing everything and making sure the lines are clean and purging them with CO2 so no oxygen mixes with beer and, disflavors it and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But stepping back, the next step of the process is right here. So the milled grains go through the auger into the grist hopper.
So that room we were just in, from there, that's where this comes from.
Yep.
Okay.
Right now this thing is full up to about here because we have a big high gravity beer being brewed tomorrow.
Oh.
Our Swinehart Stout.
Nice.
It's going to be around 11% once fully fermented.
Okay.
So there's a lot of grains that are going to go into that one.
Yeah.
So then once brew day happens, then we open up our gate right here and auger the milled grains into the mash tun.
Okay.
The mash process takes about an hour. I'm sure a lot of other brewers have explained it to you, but for everyone else that's watching, so the process pretty much converts all the starches to fermentable sugars with the enzymes that are activated in the range of somewhere around 150 degrees.
Okay.
Most mashes are anywhere from 148 to 158 Fahrenheit.
Okay.
So it depends on what beer style you're brewing, where you want to hit that mash temperature.
Right.
So then that process takes about an hour or so, and then we transfer the entire mash.
Do you do this work from up there?
Yeah.
Can we
Up on the
go up there?
suites. Oh yeah.
Okay.
We can fit up there. Well, we do it for both up there and down below. As
Okay.
you can see, the 50 or so different levers and valves and whatnot.
I didn't know. No, where?
No, you don't see any of them, right?
I don't see any. Yeah.
Yeah, so every single step of the process needs different valves and levers and whatnot to be open and closed.
Okay.
So, yeah, we pretty much, come down here, see exactly where we're at, open the right valves, and just to play it safe, we always make sure every single valve is closed before we start brewing.
Okay.
Just to make sure every step of the process, we know where we're at, because if we accidentally had one open and then just starts dumping down the drain,
Right.
it's just a pain.
Right.
But-
Sure. Yeah. Let's.
But yeah, come on up.
Okay. Yeah. Let's. I've been wanting to do this actually. We've never gone behind the scenes to
okay.
actual brewery like this yet, and so this is like part dream come true for the Hop and the Bean. So
Okay.
so thank you.
All right,
Yeah.
absolutely. So yeah, up here on this pedestal, I guess,
Yeah.
everyone's going to be watching us like little monkeys in a cage. So the augering process dumps the grains into here, and then we have water coming in, which mixes with it as it's dumping into the tank, so you don't just get big dry pockets of grains that don't do anything. So it pretty much hydrates. It's called the grist hydrator. So it just hydrates the grains as it's falling in there, mixes it up, and then there's a couple big fins in there that spin around and mix everything up and keep it homogenized during the whole process, keep the heat even and keep the grains all mixed up.
She's solid.
Yeah, for sure. It's got a steam jacket around it, which helps stabilize the temperature so we can get it exactly where we want it.
Okay.
And then, like I said, the next step of the process, we transfer everything over to here.
Okay.
This tank has a false bottom in it, which allows us to separate the grains from the wort, and the wort is pre-fermented beer.
Okay.
So after the mash is done, then there's the the spent grains and then the wort. Well, we turn on the pumps up here, and then we also have the correct valves open down there.
So you control the pumps. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't have to pump it with some old school gravity fed system or whatever, which they had to do back in the day. And
It might be
I have no
good
idea.
for entertainment for people, but
Yeah. Yeah, I was always wondering how they did it back in the pre-electricity days, where they had massive vats of beer. It's like, how did they possibly do that?
Right. Yeah, I've always wondered that. I
Yeah.
mean, obviously Yeah.
Yeah.
So from there to the wort, and the wort is like the pre-fermented beer, right?
Yeah,
Which is
just imagine sweet tea or something like that.
That's
I mean,
what
it's
I was
just
gonna say,
it's
but,
really sweet. It could be a lot more sweet. Like depending, the one we're going to do tomorrow is going to be even more sweet because of how much grains we're using.
Okay.
That's just even more sugars it's going to pull out of the grains.
Yeah.
Like the one we did yesterday, our Mustel Mild. It's an English mild, a lot lower ABV. So the wort for that one was nowhere near as sweet. I mean, relatively speaking.
Yeah. Would you say it was a little bit more mild?
Yeah, pretty much.
So,
Mild grains.
Yeah.
Mild flavor.
Is that why it's called that?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. Right.
Yeah. So to this tank, which is.
So this is the lauter ton.
Okay.
So the process, we transfer all of the grains into here, and then we start a recirculation process, which pretty much just takes the wort out, pumps it back up on top of itself, and separates out any grains that may have made its way through the false bottom until it's just running clear.
Okay.
So the grains kind of create their own filter system inside here. And then once it's running nice and clear, then we start the transfer process over the boil kettle.
Oh,
So
okay.
there's a boil kettle.
This right here?
Yep.
Okay.
That's where all the fun stuff happens. We toss the hops in.
All
we
the fun
toss
stuff in here.
whatever Other additional things in there.
Ooh. So this is where all the ingredients kind of get the taste. Would you say like the finishing touches?
Yeah, somewhat.
Because a lot of it, from what you just explained, I mean that
Yeah.
happens there too. But
Yeah, so I'd say half of the beer is the ingredients, and then the other half is the yeast,
Okay.
the flavors you get. I mean, that's my personal explanation. Some people say 90% of the flavor of beer is yeast.
yeah.
I don't think it's that much, but
Right.
it's definitely significant.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, you can do the same beer with two different yeasts, and you'll get two different beers. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But-
Yeah.
So then, once we start transferring over to here, this process can take a couple hours actually. And then once once it's starting to come down significantly in here, then we actually start putting hot water on top to rinse the rest of the sugars out.
Okay.
Because if we actually just use just the water volume that we transferred over from here, it would be a lot higher in ABV and a lot lower in volume. So we're actually diluting it as we rinse the sugars out till we get to the right volume and the right sugar water ratio, which is called gravity, the density of the water versus whatever other dissolved solids are in the water.
So sometimes when you buy beers, they mark that on there.
Yeah.
Like what the gravity is. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. Often the craft beers will show you their pre-boil or the pre-fermented gravity and then the post-fermented gravity.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So then, once we're in the boil kettle, generally an hour-long boil, sometimes a 90-minute boil, sometimes even longer. Haven't done a 120-minute boil yet, but that's what Dogfish Head's 120-minute.
Yeah.
It's based on.
Yeah.
Adding hops continually and boiling it for 120 minutes.
Wow.
But generally speaking, 60 minutes is the standard. So far, that's I think we did one 90-minute boil and the rest 60-minute boils.
Okay. So it's kind of where like the finishing magic happens.
Almost, not quite yet.
Okay.
Then the next step, we transfer out of here through, we do a little whirlpool in here which separates all the hops and other proteins and stuff. So we actually pump the beer back through here from the tank through the pump and back, and there's a valve that lets it spin around and create a whirlpool, and then all the solids kind of clump up in the middle. If you've ever taken like a bucket with sand in it or something like that, shaking it around, everything just kind of comes to the middle.
Okay.
It's the same idea.
Okay.
And that allows us to transfer the wort out of here without transferring all the other stuff, all the hops, all the other proteins, so that it can have a cleaner fermentation.
Okay.
So after that's done, then we run it through the plate chiller right down here. That's a two-stage plate chiller, so we have cold water on one side and then glycol on the other side to chill it down from 210 degrees or so down to 60 to 70 degrees, wherever we want to ferment it at.
So is that kind of so it's a standard chilling mechanism?
Yeah.
I always wondered that because I've seen some home brewers do it all different ways.
There's
father-in-law does
submersible
coil.
chillers, there's coils,
Yeah.
Lots of different ways to do it on the small scale, but those aren't efficient when you're doing 220 gallons or
Right,
so. Those are good for 5 or 10 gallons, but
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that'd be fun, having a huge submersible chiller in here, but it just wouldn't work that well.
You sure? Yeah. Okay.
So then from there we pump into whatever fermenter is empty, and whatever size batch we're doing.
So these
two
the
big ones are our
fermenters.
double-size fermenters, and then our two fermenters over here are single-size, which is 7-barrel fermenters over there, and then 15-barrel fermenters over here.
Okay.
So on any brew day, we're doing the same batch back to back. We'll fill these up, and then if it's just a single brew day, like the Swinehard Stout we're doing tomorrow, it's going to go into one of the smaller fermenters.
Okay. So
And then-
these are like what you traditionally see of like different breweries that like you go to like Great Lakes or like Sweetwater down in Atlanta, or like they have the big fermenters, right? That's those, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh yeah, so
That's what that is.
yeah, I mean some breweries, even a lot bigger than us, might have. This is a 7-barrel system. Might only have a 15-barrel system, but they're brewing literally nonstop on the thing, like 3 shifts a day, nonstop.
Yeah.
And then they can fill 60-barrel fermenters with a 15-barrel system by doing 4 batches back to back or something like that.
Right.
Because it's more efficient. I mean, not necessarily more efficient, but you don't have to necessarily keep cleaning the system between batches if you're running the thing nonstop. It's not
Sure.
gonna.
Yeah.
You're running 200 degree, or 170 degree liquid through the thing. It's not like it's gonna stop and then sit and start to get bacteria infested or moldy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean some brew houses we only have 4 fermenters. Some with only twice as big of a brew house as us have 50 fermenters. I mean, depending on how they're able to utilize their system, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But with
that is crazy.
the space that we're limited to, we have 4, which still keeps us very busy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so moving on from there, it goes to the fermenters.
Yep.
And then how long does it stay in there?
So once we pipe it into the fermenter, then we climb up on top, pitch the yeast in, seal it up, take our initial gravity readings, and then it can take 2 weeks for an ale, 4 weeks for a lager, or longer, depending on what kind of lager there is maybe, or
Right.
or a couple other factors.
Yeah. Okay. And then from there.
So from there is actually the next step we're going to be doing right here on our third fermenter. We have our Pilsner in here right now, and that's been going for a little bit over a month. We're going to transfer that from here over to the bright tank, and the bright tank's right down
Let's
here. in the
go.
next room.
Let's go. Take a look at that. And yeah, I'll let you tell us a little bit about that.
All the hoses are currently set up and ready to go. We just literally need to open a valve on that end, open a valve on this end, and let the CO2 pressure in that side push it all the way over to here. So we have 10 or so PSI on top of the beer, which is going to push it through over to here. So we don't actually need a pump for this process.
Nice.
Just use the gas to do the whole thing.
Yeah.
So right now we cleaned out the tubes, make sure everything's clean and sanitary. We purged them with CO2 to make sure no oxygen gets in the the beer as it's transferring and oxidizes it, creating off flavors. Because once the beer fermentation starts, you don't want to introduce any new oxygen to it. Before the fermentation starts, you want to introduce as much oxygen as possible to it, because the yeast kind of goes through two stages. The yeast starts out with its aerobic stage, which is where it reproduces like crazy, and as soon as the oxygen is done, then it turns into its anaerobic stage, which is where it eats the sugars and
It's where all the chemistry comes into play, right?
It gives off all the ethanol and CO2.
I was bad at chemistry. Maybe that's why you're starting to lose me. But but it actually makes sense the way you explain it. But okay. And so what is the bright tank? What is that actually doing?
Yeah, so in the bright tank, we can start the carbonation process in the fermenters over there by letting the yeast fermentation itself actually start to carbonate itself. I'm sure you've seen some beer bottles at the store that are bottle conditioned.
Yeah.
So that's where the yeast eats up a little bit of the sugar in the actual beer that's left in there and actually carbonates itself. Now, the vast majority of beer you buy is carbonated via tanks of CO2, and that's how we'll do the majority of it. I mean, we'll have some conditioning, tank conditioning for carbonation going on, and then the rest will be pressurized. So we'll set our carbonation stone pressure, and we'll have some head pressure on top of it so that the carbonation bubbles coming out just don't come right out of solution. So it'll actually hold those bubbles in solution, and they come out of this tiny little micro holes in this stone and just dissolves right into the beer with the appropriate amount of pressure on top.
Okay.
So then it'll sit in here for anywhere from 1 to 2 or 3 days as it carbonates. Yeah, careful about the grape. And then once it's carbonated, we'll do some testing to make sure we have the right carbonation levels, and then set up our keg filling apparatus here and fill a bunch of kegs, which is actually what we did a few hours ago.
Okay.
We just kegged our Instigator IPA a few hours ago, and
that's the one I was drinking. It was very good.
Okay,
yeah.
good.
I liked it a lot. Awesome. It was kind of I'll let you explain it maybe after I give you what I tasted, but it's more like a full-bodied, not full-bodied, but like more malty than most IPAs that like right now with all the New England New England style and everything, but it's more traditional to like my IPAs that I love, that you get that first initial hop flavor in your face, and that's, to me, that's how an IPA should be. Almost like reminds me of like a I don't know, like a red ale with the malt character in the backbone of it, but also with like a full forward hop flavor, I guess. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I designed. Me and my assistant brewers designed our couple IPAs and pale ales in a similar way, where they're not like so bitter, it just wrecks your palate,
right.
And then you're thirsty for a gallon of water afterward or whatever. But lots of hops in them, but all the hops we put in the boil kettle for those beers are a lot later on in the boil. We have our bittering hops at the beginning, and I'll explain that a little bit more. So you put the bittering hops in at the beginning of the boil breaks down the alpha acids in the hops, and that's what creates the bitterness.
Okay.
And then when you put hops in at the end of the boil, then all the essential oils and whatnot from those hops are where you get your flavor and your taste of the hops. So the hops you put in at the beginning of the boil, all those essential oils and whatnot are totally destroyed essentially by the boil. But the bitterness is what remains from that. So hops kind of do two different things in the beer. Yeah. And then also dry hopping.
Use different kind of hops for that? Okay.
Lots of different
for that process. So like when you put some at the beginning, and then at the end you put different kinds?
Bittering hops are the I mean, you can use lots of hops in many different ways, but generally there's two kinds of hops: bittering hops and aroma hops.
Okay.
Bittering hops are generally for bittering at the beginning of the boil, and aroma hops are generally for flavor and smell and whatnot that you put in near the end, or you dry hop with aroma hops. Too.
Yeah, you're just gonna say that. Yeah, I see that a lot on. It's big in like the craft beer world. You'll see like, dry hopped. So like, explain that a little bit maybe.
Yeah, so dry hopping is done in the fermenter actually. So you put however many hops, pounds, ounces, whatever of hops you want in after probably a couple days generally, after the main part of the fermentation kind of calms down a little bit. Then you toss those hops in, and then it just, the alcohol that's been created and, just soaking in there really absorbs all the good flavor you're used to out of, IPAs and whatnot into the beers.
Yeah. What? Yeah. So would you? Yeah, I loved that IPA. I mean, I was a little bit nervous because I know you guys are early on, but from what I gather, I heard the Christmas ale story. You've been brewing for a while, and I was super impressed. I mean, and I wouldn't keep saying this if I didn't feel this way, but it is. It's one of the better IPAs I've had in a long time. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, and for that to be our first real heavy hitter, especially with what people like these days. I mean, you got to have at least one or two IPAs for any brewery.
Yeah.
And I feel like initially that's what most people are going to try, and I'm really happy with how that one turned out for sure.
What kind of hops did you use?
So that one uses Citra hops and Sriracha Ace hops.
Okay. Colin was talking about that last week.
Are you familiar with Sriracha Ace hops at all?
Only because I think there was a brewery that did a beer that focused on them, but I don't know too much about them.
I think off the top of my head, Brooklyn Brewery. They had a Sriracha Ace, like Saison or something like that.
Yeah.
I can't remember. It's been a while since I had it, but whatever that beer was, and I'm pretty sure that was it. That was when I first tried that kind of hop, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is insane. I've never had a hop with these characteristics before. I definitely need to use it. So I quickly went home and designed the IPA with that in mind, and this is what we came up with.
So do you think that's like kind of that unique flavor I'm trying to describe?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, at least partially. I mean, for all my pale ale, IPA, whatnot, I use California ale yeast, which is very standard yeast for that style of beer. So that creates some of the flavor that you're kind of expecting or tasting. But those hops are definitely part of it. So the Sriracha Ace hops have a lot of unique flavors like dill and lime, which I haven't really had before in hops. Now, I mean, this was a couple years ago. Now I've seen hops that have all kinds of crazy stuff come out just in the last few years. But, But Citra is a pretty standard hop. I mean, you've seen hundreds of beers in the market with Citra hops.
I'd say it's probably the most popular.
Yeah. It's just, it's a standard, lemony, citrusy flavors from it.
Yeah.
High alpha acids, so the Citra is also good for using at the beginning of the boil as well.
Sriracha Ace, that's the name of the
Sriracha Ace.
Sriracha Ace.
Okay, different from Sriracha.
I know.
Sauce.
Well, that's what I thought initially. I'm like, wait, what? This is a Sriracha beer?
No. I think those hops are Japanese in origin, but I'm not entirely sure, so don't quote me on that.
Okay. So are there any plans to do a Sriracha beer with the sauce and the hop? And really confuse people?
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, that'd be fun. I'll work with our chef John on that one. We'll see. We'll come up with something.
And so, while we're speaking of that, or talking about that, before I forget, I don't know if you saw the show last week, but we were talking about different themes. Yeah. I wore this shirt for you because we talked about doing a Quail Man IPA that you need to do. So or like a Doug Funny one. Yeah. I don't know. We talked about different cartoon characters and our favorite cartoon characters and like what beer you would name after them or something like that. And at some point somebody said, I think I initiated the conversation, but a Quail Man like IPA, like super creative and adventurous. Yeah. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'd like to do something, cartoony wise. I'd obviously have to get the rights and talk to him.
Right.
But Calvin and Hobbes. I mean, Bill Watterson's local. Get him involved.
Would you call it Calvin and Hops?
Hey, nice, no pun intended.
Yeah, right, yeah. But we do not own the rights to Doug, and we are not, even though Disney bought Doug from Nickelodeon, but...
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, the Nickelodeon series was nowhere near as good. I mean, the Disney version was nowhere near as good as the Nickelodeon version.
Yeah.
But, I mean...
I watch that all the time.
Yeah. Oh, I loved it. It was
Yeah.
favorite of all time, probably. Yeah. Yeah, man. Thank you so much. I feel like now, what is there anything else in the process that we need to know about? Or so it's from here to keg to
Yep. From here to keg to
yeah,
to your glass, pretty much.
yeah. And so that's like the last. I feel like we need to go look at a beer right now. And I mean, I think they're drinking on one. Kind of just get a shot of one and show everyone what exactly we're talking about. And from the brew house back to the bar, and yeah. So this the IPA.
Looks like
Yes,
it.
sir. That is
Yeah.
the IPA.
So we have the IPA here, kind of. This is kind of what I meant. Not like super light in color, a little bit darker in color, but kind of leans to that. Kind of like fuller, more malty flavor, like we were talking about. But then you look at it, and that's what you think immediately too. But then it kind of hits you with that hop flavor.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you guys, it is a very good IPA. And so we've come full circle. There it is, from the entrance to the tour to the brew experience, through Joe walking us through every part of the brewing process. Do you have any, before we close out, any future plans of what kind of beers you guys have coming up down the road, or that?
I mean, most of the beers we make are pretty much kind of traditional styled beers for the most part. I mean, I know a lot of breweries are doing all kinds of crazy things, milkshake IPAs and all kinds of different trendy beers.
Yep.
I generally don't go that direction. Sometimes, I mean, I definitely like to do some experimental styles, stuff, that's a little bit different. And we're definitely going to be coming out with some of those.
Yeah.
Not nearly as much as other breweries, for sure.
Right.
But in the next couple months, we have a black IPA coming out, a brown ale.
I love black
Oktoberfest.
IPAs.
Yeah.
I feel like it's almost like a forgotten style.
Yeah.
People don't brew it as much. Like it
I
came
haven't seen
out.
much of those recently.
Platform just released one, and I don't know. There's a couple sporadically, but like I feel like it got really trendy for like a year, and then it went away. Like 3 or 4 years ago. I love that you're making that. That's awesome.
And
It's
actually,
one of my favorite styles.
I should step back because we still have a couple more beers that are coming out, right after we open. I'm
Yeah.
talking about
Right.
fall, winter.
And that's what I was asking.
So right after we open, so the Swinehart Stout we're brewing tomorrow won't be ready for probably about 3 weeks from now. So that's not going to be until after we open. Then we have a Belgian triple,
Okay.
and I love Belgians.
Yeah.
And that's going to be, I think we're brewing that.
Where's he
next
going with our
week.
beer?
No, he's taking it.
Sorry.
So that'll be ready a little bit after we open as well. We in a couple days, I think on Sunday, we're brewing a habanero IPA.
Oh.
Yeah,
okay.
that one turned out really well.
Nice.
In testing, so
Yeah.
hopefully testing translates good to the full size system we're going to.
Yeah.
But it's got a hint on the back of your tongue of the habanero that slowly builds up as you drink it. Not so much that you can't drink more than a couple ounces of it,
Right.
But enough that you actually want to keep drinking more, especially if you like some spicy stuff.
Absolutely.
And it's
probably
gonna-
pair well with some good.
Oh, it's going to pair well with a lot of things.
Yeah.
So that one's a good one. Probably one of my favorites of the beers that we've brewed.
Yeah. Somebody had a good sweet heat one at the Beer Fest last week.
Yeah, I think that was roasted jalapenos in that one.
Okay,
I
yeah,
can't
yeah,
remember
yeah.
who that was.
Was
off the top of my
that
head.
Head Trip? Maybe. Yeah, I think it
Might
was
have been Head Trip,
Yeah,
yeah.
and it was like pineapple. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was pretty. That was tasty.
yeah, that was good.
So last question before, to give an idea, so for the opening for when people come out, what type of beers will you guys have on tap?
All right, by opening we'll have, I think, about 8 of our
Nice.
10 beers that we'll have generally on tap.
Okay.
So our 7 year-round beers are our 1913 Pilsner, our Cascade Locks Pale Ale, the Instigator IPA that you already had, the Mustel Mild, the Mutton Hill Hefeweizen, and that's 5. I need 2 more.
Stout?
Yeah, the Swinehart Stout and the Towpath Porter.
Okay. All right.
So those are our 7 year-round beers, and then in addition to that, for the summer season, coming up on the end of it, but still, we're gonna have a Strawberry Rhubarb Wheat Ale.
Oh yeah, I think Nikki was drinking that. She
Yeah.
was pretty excited about it.
And then 2 more. We'll have the Belgian Triple, which is Signal Tree Triple,
Nice.
and Station 3.
I'm excited for that one. Will that be available next week for Sam?
Oh, no.
No?
I haven't even brewed that one
Oh,
yet.
okay.
We're
Gotcha,
brewing that on
gotcha.
Sunday, so it's an
Okay.
ale. It'll take 2 weeks plus
Gotcha.
kegging time. So
Yeah. Okay.
let me think.
You let me know.
Thursday,
You let me know when it's ready to be tasted, and I
Near
will
the
do
end
that.
of August.
I will taste it for you.
All right.
An unbiased opinion. I'm willing to do that for you.
Sounds good. I appreciate it. Probably the week after we open, that one will be ready.
Okay.
So sometime around the 28th off the top of my head.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, man, thank you so much. Really
Yeah.
appreciate your time and
Sure. Thanks for coming.
literally giving us, an inside view. A lot of people with this kind of stuff might be a little bit guarded, about some of their. You didn't reveal any crazy secrets, I don't think. But yeah, I really appreciate all your insight and allowing us to come in. So.
Yeah.
As you may or may not have noticed, the next week will be the. And let's get a shot real quick as we close out of like how you can see the window of the brew house that we were just in. Anyone sitting in the brew pub or eating dinner or having the beer snacks that we talked about earlier can come and see the brewing process going on, and Joe in there in his chicken suit doing the brewing or whatever crazy antics he might be up to. But that's fun enough to know. But or to see, just the fact that you can see them brewing, and then you can see the kitchen over there as well. So next week, soft opening, correct, and then the 21st, grand opening. And then after that, this place is going to be open to the public. Beautiful, beautiful establishment. This is part 2 of a 3-part series. Next week, we'll be kind of back to check in and see how everything is coming together and how the beers and the food and just all of aesthetically, everything's coming together. And I'm honest and dead serious when I tell you guys I'm super excited. It's going to be a destination brewery, brew pub, kitchen to come and experience. And so we have a lot coming up and a lot of different startups around that will be going on for the rest of the couple months coming up. But next week we'll be right back here at Lock 15 checking in. Until next time, thank you guys so much for being with us, for listening, for watching. I'm Buzz Andrews, and I'm all hopped up.